Good morning. Welcome to the world of conscious positive thinking with MJ, where your thoughts become your power and your mindset becomes your compass. MJ is here to guide you through a journey of self-awareness, emotional mastery, and empowered living.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Want to make
reach out and touch your musical sound. No matter you're young or old, God, let the good time roll. But still you say, right on. Can't wait any longer. My love cannot linger. Hear the river whisper keenly. No matter if you're happy, say no matter if you're blue. My love, it a shine on for you. My heart, it a bubble up for you. My love, it a shining for you. It a shining for you. Hey you, hey you. It a shining for you. Say when love could have never grow old. Love worth more diamond and pearl. Till you just a work on the top of the world.
Good morning. Happy summer, not summer, MJ, it's winter. Look, I'm freezing. It is cold. The snow is coming. Happy Saturnalia. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Old jolly Saint Nick. And of course, Jesus Christ, who was born. Merry Christmas. So we got a lot to handle today. It is story time. So get your favorite cup of Joe. And let's get together and let's get through this season. Today is going to be a beautiful eye awakening to some, maybe not to others, but to some most definitely. Tonight or today, whenever you're watching, we are going to be discussing Saturnalia, which is an ancient Roman festival honoring the god Saturn. And it's celebrated in December the 17th, 497 BC. 497 BC. I don't lie about this. Who can make that up? That's right. Saturnalia at this time of the year is really one of the oldest types of festivities for this beautiful awakening. So we have then Hanukkah. Hanukkah is right after Saturnalia, and that's been celebrated for over 2,000 years, commemorating events from the 2nd century. And that is BCE. That's right around 164, that 2nd century. So that's about 2,000 years old. And then we jump down to the pagan holiday of Saturnalia that turned into Christmas as a holiday, celebrating the Jesus birth. About 1,700 years ago, with the first recorded celebration in Rome of December the 25th, 336 AD, under Emperor Constantine. Through some Christians that remembered the birth earlier, it became a major holiday by the 9th century, absorbing the pagan winter solstice traditions of Saturnalia. We'll get into that. The 4th century bishop Saint Nicholas arrived somewhere in the 1800s, which was a Dutch tradition. If you listen to Beyond the Headlines, we, when I say we, good old H-Train and I try to do a thespian hat. It didn't work out so well in our favor. If you were there, it's okay because we had fun doing it. These lights are making me look like I got a shiny face today. And then lastly, we have Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa, believe it or not, is really only 60 years old. In 1966, Dr. I hope I don't mispronounce your name, Maulana Karenga is a cultural celebration of African American heritage, and then we'll go on to discuss that. So today Grab your cup of joe, your hot chocolate. It is story time today that we're going to go through, and we're going to get through all of them. But first, you know what this is. Before we do any of that, we have to go back and we have to figure out what is the number 63. Remember, we keep asking the angels, why do we do these? So here we go. Number 63, it's the angel number. It revolves into a 9, just like numerology. But here, the angels would like to reassure you that you are qualified. It is now time to follow your soul's longing to be of assistance to people, animals, and the environment of the world at large in some fashion. You may be called to a new study of course, to volunteer, or to pray, or perform simple acts of kindness for others. Your life purpose involves serving others. Be the example others can follow. Your angel power word is trust and truth. As we go through today, that is so beautiful. Thank you, angels. Trust the process of this beautiful winter solstice, of this beautiful holiday season for all denominations. Trust and truth. Number 63, divine timing ushers in arrival of new ascending masters who is here to assist you with aspects of trust and truth. You may need assistance to see a situation or person more clearly. You may need to trust in your intuition more, or perhaps you need to entrust others with responsibilities that you normally take care of. Masterful help is here. That is beautiful. That is a beautiful, thank you, angels, today for that beautiful, beautiful message. Good morning. Good morning. I see you all here. Look at H Train. He's not even in my studio, but hello, Daddy. Hello, H Train. Beautiful in the Saturnalia, in this pagan area. If you're Jewish, happy Hanukkah. We're all going into this. Let's discuss why the winter solstice, why the hubbub of the winter solstice. As we know in the physical, the winter solstice is the longest night here in this upper area of North America. It is long. Our winter solstice is the longest dark day, and then it keeps getting lighter and lighter and pushing us forward to the beautiful spring solstice. So our winter solstice is here, and it happens on the 21st of December. Spiritually, it signifies a powerful turning point, the peak of darkness, a powerful turning point of peak of darkness leading to the slow return of light, symbolizing deep introspection, renewal, and the promise of rebirth after a cycle of endings. It's time to honoring the rest, releasing the old, and setting intentions, and embracing the inner world, recognizing that even in stillness, growth is underway, marking a sacred pause before the New Year's energy emerges. That is that's big. That's big right there. Woo, that's big. So, what does this mean? This means that in reality, this night of this winter solstice is pushing everything out, bringing us in and joining in. We join in our family and our friends, and we have a lot of memories of the year past. Some of us, you should see the memes, sage in the year 2025 to get it out, to have the brand new 2026. Instead of looking at it negatively, bam, we're going to flip it. Why? Because everything that you've learned and you've had to balance, or you've had to align, or you've had to deal with those skeletons in your closet, you don't have to do them again if you did it right. If you found a balance and you found a positive way for both sides, Father, forgive them, Father, forgive me. It's two sides to every event. Then you are on your way to a bountiful and fruitious, beautiful new year of 2026. And that just excites me to no end. Woo! So, as we said, we are going to discuss these in a story time. I'm going to be telling you a lot of stories today. So, get your hot cocoa, or your cup of joe, or your water if you need, because after we come back from this short little break, then we are going to dig in, and it's all going to start over 2,500 years ago with the pagan holidays of Saturnalia. So what are we doing? We are getting ready and having a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful holiday season. Remember, Anytime you want to get upset or frustrated or angry or sad, breathe it in, tap it, and says, not today, not today. You can say it like others, not today, Satan, go away. Not today, you're not going to make me upset. There's just none of that happening, and there will never be any of that happening. So, in glorious and beautiful intentions, we, my friends, are going to start with a little kickoff and a holiday greeting cheer from Santa and Mrs. Claus. We'll be right back.
Well, ho, 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 this is Santa and Mrs. Claus, broadcasting all the way up from the North Pole, just sending out a true, heartfelt thank you to each and every one of you brave young men and women stationed overseas on ships in the middle of the ocean or getting to spend time back here in the United States with your families. We just want you guys to know how much you are truly, truly appreciated.
And a Merry Christmas from me as well. While Santa's checking his list twice, I'm busy making cookies and mugs of hot chocolate filled with warm hugs and best wishes for all of our service members, both serving and who have served. And know that you are very much appreciated and thought of all year long.
Veterans, active duty, and family members, just a great big thank you for each and everything that you guys do. Merry Christmas.
Hey, before you go, make sure you check it out. Our limited edition dye-tired shirts are in the MBR shop for $25. Don't miss out.
Okay, so we got Beaker, we got the Clauses. So I want to show you all something. So up here in the far corner, watch me blink yet. Blink. See that? See that duck? Blink. See that duck? Blink. I want everybody, put your QR code on there. Just click on there. That leads you straight to Die Tired to our t-shirts. And you can go ahead and order those with those donations, helping Die Tired and his artistry, and also helping mbradio.us for this celebration of New Year's. It is of giving and donating, and that is our piece that we give back. So get a beautiful shirt. I don't have one myself down here to show you, but I screwed up on that one. I should have had it, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. We don't care. It is still a jolly season. You can get the QR code and you can see what those shirts look like right there. Okay, folks, here we go. Let's change our music. Let's get into the world of storytelling. So, everybody, I'm going to get my glasses on. That's right. Going to take a sip of my cocoa. Okay. Here we go. Let's start all the way back with Saturnalia. Saturnalia is the most popular holiday on the ancient Roman calendars, derived from older farming-related rituals of the midwinter and the winter solstice, especially the practice of offering gifts or sacrifices to the gods during the winter sowing seasons. The pagan celebration of Saturn, the Roman god of agricultural and time, began as a simple day. But by the late Republic, somewhere around 133 to 31 BC, it had expanded to week-long festivals beginning December the 17th on the Julian calendar, which the Romans used at the time. The winter solstice then fell on December the 25th. During Saturnalia, work and business came to an exact halt. Schools and courts of law closed, and the normal social patterns were suspended. People decorated their homes with wreaths and other greenery found in the forests and shed their traditional togas in favor for colorful clothes known as synthesis. Even enslaved people did not have to work during Saturnalia. It was that holy and sacred. But were allowed to participate in the festivals. In some cases, they sat at the end of the table while their masters served them. What? Instead of working, Romans spent Saturnalia gambling, singing, playing music, feasting, socializing, and giving each other gifts. That sounds a lot familiar, pagan people. Wax tapered candles called Siri were common gifts during Saturnalia to signify light returning after the dark solstice times. On the last day of Saturnalia celebrations, known as the Sigillaria, many Romans gave their friends and loved ones small terracotta figurines known as signalarias, which may have referred back to older celebrations involving human sacrifice. Saturnalia was by far the jolliest Roman holiday. The Roman poet Catullus famously described it as the best of times. So riotous were the festivities that the Roman author Pliny reportedly built a soundproof room so that he could work during the ruckus of celebrations. Constructed in the 4th century AD to replace the earlier temple, the Temple of Saturn in Rome served as the ceremonial center of later Saturnalia celebrations. On the first day of the festivities, a young pig would often be publicly sacrificed at the temple, which was located in the northwestern corner of the Roman Forum. The cult statue of Saturn in the temple traditionally had woolen bonds tied around its feet. But during Saturnalia, those bonds were loosened to symbolize the god's liberation. In many Roman households, a mock king was chosen. The leader of Saturnalia, sometimes also called the Lord of Misrule, usually a lolarier, woo, that's a good word, member of the house for making mischief during the celebrations, insulting guests, wearing crazy clothing, chasing women and girls, etc. The idea was that he ruled over chaos rather than the normal Roman order. The common holiday custom of hiding coins or other small objects in cakes is one of the many dating back to Saturnalia, as this was a method of choosing the mock king. Thanks to the Roman Empire's conquest in Britain and the rest of Europe from the 2nd century BC to the 4th century AD, and their suppression of older seasonal rites and ritual practices by the Celts and other groups, today's Western cultures derive many of their traditional celebrations of the midwinter from Saturnalia. The Christian holiday of Christmas especially owes many of its traditions to the ancient Roman festivals, including the time of year Christmas is celebrated. The Bible does not give a date for Jesus' birth. In fact, some theologians have concluded he was probably born in spring, as suggested by the references to sheep and shepherds in the Nativity story. But by the 4th century AD, Western Christian churches settled on celebrating Christmas on December the 25th, which allowed them to incorporate the holiday of Saturnalia and other popular pagan midwinter traditions. Pagans and Christians coexisted, though not always happily, during this period, and this likely represented an effort to convince the remaining pagan Romans to accept Christianity as Rome's official religion. Before the end of the 4th century, many of its traditions of Saturnalia, including giving gifts, singing, lighting candles, Advent wreaths, feasting, and merrymaking, had become absorbed by the traditions of Christmas as many know today. Well. That was Saturnalia, boys and girls out there. Saturnalia kicked off. So all of those denominations out there, happy Saturnalia if you still are practicing the pagan tradition of the Romans. The Romans who were forthright in mischief and unbelievable awareness. Happiest of seasons to you, you merry men of the woods who cultivate and do your growing and practice and begin your rest in for the spring. Just like a bear, right? It's the bear season. We hibernate. Okay, folks, we need to take our first break because that was our first denominational religion here for these holiday seasons. So instead of playing traditional music, we're going to be doing jingle bells. This is for me to take a break. You take a break and come back and reconnect. We'll be right back. All right, we are back. And we're just going to turn that little monkey down a little bit, go back to our storytelling music. And so if you have questions on Saturnalia, don't ask me, ask Wikipedia. I'm just here for story time today for our holiday season, keeping it light and festive. And you can read all about Saturnalia. And I'm going to give you where I read that story. So if you have any questions or concerns, you go right ahead and you contact history.com. Right? Because I didn't live in that time, but I know it exists and I know that there's beautifulness. So if you want there, I'm going to post up that story. Okay, we're going to go to story number 2, the story of Hanukkah. Okay. Disclaimer, 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 woo, disclaimer. I'm probably going to really butcher some of these words, but it's okay because it's the intent that counts. All right, here we go. Take the other sip of your cocoa. Get your cocoa. Take that sip. This is the story of Hanukkah by Rabbi Stephen Schwartz. A story of Hanukkah is really 2 stories. The first, a tale of human courage, strength, resistance, resilience, and the human determination to push back the darkness and bring light into the world. And that is the story of the Maccabees, a group of Jews who lived more than 1,000 years ago at a time when their homeland, the land of Israel, was controlled by foreign power. The Maccabees, by and large, were a ragtag band of rebels, and they were standing against what at the time was the greatest power in the world. It was the weak against the strong, the few fighting against the many. But the few were fighting for their own country, for their own families, and for their faith and their freedom. And in the end, it was the immeasurable quality of the human spirit that prevailed. And the Jews regained control of their homeland and the destiny. And during the darkest time of the year, when night falls, we light the menorah as a way of remembering their courage and the gifts that they gave us that we still are blessed with today. The other story of Hanukkah is the story of a miracle. When the Maccabees recaptured the sacred city of Jerusalem, they went to the ancient temple, the center of their religious lives that had been desecrated. They worked day and night so that the temple would once again be ready to receive God's presence, so that it would once again be a place of holiness, and all that was made ready. But it's not my story. So there's a but in the story, but it's not. But there was one detail, one small crucial thing that was missing: the special oil that was required for the lighting of the temple menorah. They searched, and finally they found one can of the oil, but that was only enough to burn for a single day. Nevertheless, they lit the menorah, and the single portion of the oil burned for 8 days. Enough time for them then to make more of the oil and bring it to Jerusalem. And so we lit the menorah for 8 nights of Hanukkah to remember the miracle of burning the menorah in ancient times, and to reflect upon the idea that the brightest light of this world comes from God. When the two stories of Hanukkah are considered together, we're reminded each year that it is through a partnership with God and mankind that light comes into the world, that darkness can be banished, and that the world can become the kind of place that we want to be, and that God intends it to be. In the words of Prophet Zechariah, read in the Haftarah, chanted on the first Sabbath of Hanukkah: not by night nor by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord of hosts. Zechariah 4. The lights of the menorah symbolize the sacred moments when our spirits can join with God, and when the divine and the holy light of God's presence is truly felt in the human heart and soul. So, all worship, all to God. Even Saturnalia, who prayed to the gods, Saturn, in the agriculture. You see how everyone's religion is coming back into God? Yeah, it's beautiful. It's such a beautiful concept, and it's such an eye-opener, an awakener, right? It is just truly, when you listen to the stories, you got to ask yourself, you like those reading glasses too? Kind of sexy. So it always comes back into God, the hands of God, the light of God, the light in ourselves, the I am. The I am. That's why last week we did the religion, the spiritual to the consciousness. To know that divine lives within all denominations, and that the light within us glows so beautiful and bright. It's kind of like that twinkle, right? Mecca, Mecca, starland Pekka. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. How I wonder what you are. That northern light star that you'll find brings all this together. So we're going to go on another break. And my breaks right now are consisting of jingle bells. So get ready to learn jingle bells over and over again for our break. And then we'll come right back in. You're listening to mbradio.us. My name is MJ on the world of conscious positive thinking. And today, we are talking about stories, fables, and myths through our holiday season, as this week is celebrated by so many around the world. I wanted to give a little bit of culture and story time for everybody to hear. So sit back, get your coffee. We're going to play Jingle Bells, and MJ's going to be right back. Hello, welcome back. Okay, so we discussed what? Saturnalia. Now we discussed Hanukkah. These are 2,000 plus years old, like old. These are old denominations and religions. And these are tradition for these folks in these denominations, which I think is just absolutely phenomenal. So I hope you got your cup of joe ready. I hope you got everything around, because now we're going to lean into what most people know, which is the story of Christmas. So, as we talked to you a little bit earlier about the story of Christmas, when we were on our dashboard, we had told you that the Saturnalia was somewhere around 497 BCE or 2,500 years old. And Hanukkah was 2,000 years old. And now we're looking at Christmas, which the Christmas celebration is about 1,700 years old in Christ's birth. Remember, Christmas as a holiday celebrating Jesus' birth is about 1,700 years old, with the first recorded celebration in Rome on December the 25th, 336 AD under Emperor Constance. Though some Christians remembered that the birth earlier, it became a major holiday by the 9th century. So absorbing the pagan winter solstice traditions of Saturnalia. So remember, we talked about this. Now we're going to go back. And now we're going to read about how Christmas became Christmas in the Christmas story. Okay. What we as the Christians believe. And remember, most of the Christians were pagans. So pagan became into Christian. Isn't it funny that the Christian Bible really does not like the pagan type of thing, the witches, the Wicca? But yet the Christmas actually came from Saturnalia, which is the pagan festival. Why can't we just all get along? Why is there such division? I don't know. There should be at this time of the year. We should all be as one. Should. I'm shoulding it up. But it's okay. I'm not judging any of my words today because I'm reading stuff and it's okay. So here we go. We are going to read now what everybody knows as the Christmas story. If you go to any Christian church, you will hear this probably the same story, but through passages of their Bible, their Christmas story. Get your cup of Joe. Here we go. Long ago, about 2,000 years, when King Herod ruled Judea, now part of Israel, God sent Angel Gabriel. Remember, Archangel Gabriel is God's messenger, to a young woman who lived in northern town of Nazareth. The girl's name was Mary, and she was engaged to marry Joseph. The angel Gabriel said to Mary, "Peace be with you. God has blessed you and is pleased with you." Mary was very surprised by this and wondered what the angel meant. The angel said to her, "Don't be afraid. God has been very kind to you. You will become pregnant by the Holy Spirit and give birth to a baby boy, and you will call him Jesus. He will be God's own son, and his kingdom will never end." Mary was very afraid, but she trusted God. "Let it happen as God chooses," she replied to the angel. Gabriel also told Mary that her cousin Elizabeth, who everyone thought was too old to have children, would have a baby boy whom God had chosen to prepare the way for Jesus. Mary said goodbye to her family and friends and went to visit her cousin Elizabeth and her husband Zachariah. Elizabeth was very happy to see Mary. She knew Mary had been chosen by God to be the mother of his son. An angel had already told Zachariah that Elizabeth's baby would prepare people to welcome Jesus. He was to be called John. Mary stayed with Elizabeth about 3 months and then returned home to Nazareth. Joseph was worried when he found out that Mary was expecting a baby before their marriage had taken place. He wondered if he should put off the wedding altogether. Then the angel appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, "Don't be afraid to have Mary as your wife." The angel explained that Mary had been chosen by God to be the mother of the Son and told Joseph that the baby would be named Jesus, which means Savior, because he would have saved people. He will be saving people. When Joseph woke up, he did what the angel had told him to do and took Mary as his wife immediately. At this time, the land where Mary and Joseph lived was part of the Roman Empire. The Roman Emperor Augustus wanted to have a list of all the people in the empire to make sure they paid their taxes. He ordered everyone to return to the town where their families originally came from and entered their names in a register or census. There's the census. There. Mary and Joseph traveled a long way, about 70 miles from Nazareth to Bethlehem, because that is where Joseph's family came from. Most people walked, but some lucky who had a donkey to help carry the goods needed for the journey. Joseph and Mary traveled very slowly because Mary's baby was due to be born soon. When they reached Bethlehem, they had problems finding somewhere to stay. So many people had come to register their names in the census that every house was full and every bed was taken in all of the guest rooms. The only place to stay that they could find was with the animals. People often kept animals in the house, especially at night, and used them like central heating. People normally slept on a raised upper level with the animals below to give them extra warmth. So in a place where the animals slept, Mary gave birth to Jesus, the Son of God. In those days, it was the custom to wrap newborn babies tightly in a long cloth called swaddling clothes. Jesus' bed was the manger that the animals ate their hay from. In the hills and fields outside Bethlehem, shepherds looked after their sheep through the long night. As the new day began, suddenly an angel appeared before them, and the glory of God shone around them. The shepherds were very, very scared. And the angel said, "Please, do not be afraid. I have good news for you and for everyone. Today in Bethlehem, the Savior has been born for you and for all mankind. You will find the baby lying in a manger." Then many more angels appeared, lighting up into the sky. The shepherds heard them praises God, singing, "Glory to God in the highest, and peace to everyone on earth." When the angels had gone, the shepherds said to one another, "Let's go to Bethlehem to see what has happened." So the shepherds went to Bethlehem and found Mary and Joseph. The baby Jesus was laying in the manger as they had been told. When they saw him, they told everyone that the angel had said, and everyone who heard the story was astonished. When the shepherds returned to their sheep, praising God for sending his son to be their Savior. When Jesus was born, a brand new bright star appeared in the sky. Some wise men in faraway countries saw the star and guessed what it meant. They were very clever men that studied the stars and had read in very old writings that a new star would appear when a great king was born. They set out to find that new king and bring him the gifts. The wise men followed the star towards the country of Judea, and when they got to the capital called Jerusalem, they began to ask people, "Where is this child who is born to be king of the Jews?" Herod, the king of Judea, heard this, and it made him very angry to think that someone might be going to take his place as king. Herod sent for the wise men to come to him. He told them to go on following the star until they found that baby king. He said, "When you have found him, let me know where he is so that I can go and worship him." But Herod did not tell them that he really had evil planned in mind to kill that new king. The wise men followed the star towards Bethlehem, where it was said that the king would be born in the old writings. It seemed to stop and shine directly down upon the place where Jesus laid. The wise men entered the house where they now lived and found Jesus with Mary. They bowed down and worshiped him. The wise men spread the gifts that they had brought for Jesus. The gifts were gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The wise men were warned in a dream by God not to go back to Herod, so they returned home to their countries in the east by a different way. When the wise men had gone, the angel appeared to Joseph in a dream. "Get up," the angel said. "Take Jesus and Mary and escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for Jesus to kill him. So Joseph got up, took Jesus and Mary, and during the night they left for Egypt, where he stayed until Herod died. When Herod realized that he had been tricked by the wise men, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys aged 2 or younger in Bethlehem and the surrounding area. This was to try and kill the new king, as he planned to find the location of the new king, from the wise men have failed him. After Herod died, Joseph had another dream in which an angel appeared to him. The angel said, "Get up, take Jesus and Mary, and go back to Israel. For those who were trying to kill Jesus are dead." So Joseph got up, took Jesus and Mary, and they went back to Israel. But when he heard that Herod's son was now king of Judea, he was afraid to go there. So instead, they went to Galilee and lived in their old town of Nazareth. How beautiful. Angels' voices. You know, I love to get messages. I love to hear messages. There are so many of us out there get messages. They get inklings. They get gut feelings, intuitive minds. So that religion goes into spirituality and then goes into consciousness. When you open up the box outside of a framed religion that has been more than 2,000 years old, you actually are able to become one with the I am and the conversations that you have with God, Archangel Gabriel. It is plausible. I have faith to know that it is plausible. I have conscious awareness to know that it is plausible. Please know it's plausible. When you pray for the intentions of goodwill. You don't ever take any other's will against them. These are the stories that are constantly fed into the Bible. It is constantly fed into our law and order, if you believe in the Bible, because the Bible is a lot of law and order. There's a lot of killing. There's a lot of brutality. This man called Jesus. It is a story of love. It is a story of honor. It's a story of faith. And it is a story of mankind, all wrapped in itself. And now we know the story in the Bible. It is a beautiful story. It is a story that will always, just forever, be part of all that is. And for me, I believe that is true consciousness. Whew. So, you see how everything is kind of all wrapping together? We all live as one in humanity, and in God we trust. We all start living in this whirlwind. The stories, they are different, but they all come back, don't they? Everything always comes back to being, what's the word I'm looking for? Grateful, kind, loving, peaceful, joy. These words, they reign in such beauty. They reign in everything that we seek. I don't know if there's anybody who wakes up seeking negativity. And if you wake up seeking negativity, please find yourself someone to talk to, someone to open up, especially during this season. Because though there is tragedy in stories, it rises us to be the highest level of consciousness and light possible. Jesus taught us that. Mary and Joseph taught us that. Right? Herod taught us that. Saturnalia taught us that. The Romans have taught us what chaos can be. So if you're Italian, your roots are deep into those shenanigans. Deep. Okay, we're going to take another quick little break. And then when we come back, we are going to then discuss Old Saint Nick. because he's the next on the line as far as timeline. So we will discuss him. Again, if you have any questions, I am posting in the chats. I am posting where you can find all of this information. I'm posting the reads where I'm getting them. I'm posting all of those information so that hopefully one day you'll be able to go in there and you'll be able to have the awareness, or you can read it yourself and do further studies, or maybe pass it along to your children. How this holiday season of festivities around the world became so joyful, so happy, so full of kindness of mankind and love in our hearts, forgiving and donating and being part. And speaking of donating, up here, I'm going to show you again because I want everybody to see it. There is a little code all the way up here at the top. You can see that QR code. I'm going to blink it off and on. There it is. See that little duck? That is for Die Tired t-shirts. It is the last of our donations and giving back here at MBR. Please go ahead and click on that code. I'll blink it again so you can see it, because I know there's a lot going on that screen. That's that QR code right there. Go ahead and tap that and say Merry Christmas. Thank you, MBR. Thank you to Die Tired for healing by their voices. Here at MB Radio, we are veterans who have a voice. Having a voice helps healing, helps tell the story, and helps those veterans move forward. I'm so honored to be here at this station. February is going to be my 2-year mark, and I am full of joy and full of thanks, and just full of a lot of just different emotions, but all of joy, kind, with humility and grace and the awareness. Okay. Here we go. Let's get back to our Jingle Bell tunes. Let's take a really quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to sit and we're going to say why Old Saint Nick was Old Saint Nick. Now that you heard these three. Be right back.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Hey, thanks for supporting our channel by watching and listening.
Find us on the web at mbradio.net.
Oh, welcome back with our little duckies and beakers. Don't forget, up in the corner, that duck QR code is to get your shirts from Die Tired. You know what? I should hashtag Die Tired. Oh, good morning, Janet Becker. We're story timing today. I hope you got your cup of joe because it is Betty Bob Boopsie of storytelling, MJ way. Okay, so Die Tired shirts. I'm going to hashtag Die Tired. Hashtag and Die Tired. Get your shirt. It's that QR code. I'm going to blink it one more time so people go, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? It is that QR code blinking up there. See that blinker? That is our last donation efforts for our military broadcast radio with Die Tired t-shirts, and they are going off the shelf. So get your Die Tired, and thank you all of you out there who has actually purchased one to help our station, and Die Tired as our spotlight musician to help him gain his way as a veteran and run his course through the general public. Okay, so we are on. We've heard now from, what did we hear from? Everybody recap. So we told the story of Saturnalia, the ancient Roman festival honoring the god of Saturn, back all the way in 497 BC. And that was the temple of Saturn, making it over 2,500 years old. Saturnalia, we welcome all of you who believe in that. And then we go into the Hanukkah. Hanukkah is about 2,000 years old, and that's the 2nd century of BC, somewhere around 164 BCE. And then we just told the Christmas holiday stories, the Christmas of celebrating that 1,700-year-old tradition in Rome from December the 25th to 336 AD under Emperor Constantine. Through some Christian remembered the birth earlier, it became the major holiday in the 9th century, absorbing the pagan winter solstice tradition of Saturnalia. So it took over from the pagan tradition. But now we have another one, the one that everybody loves, the one that gives the most fun, the most jollies. So think of it. When we were back in Saturnalia, that was about mischievous parties and festivals. So what did we do? Christmas then took on that with St. Nicholas. Who was St. Nicholas? That jolly old red belly guy. So in that 1st century bishop, St. Nicholas evolved into Santa Claus in the 1800s. Now we're getting closer to our timeline. As the legend emerged from the Dutch tradition, Sinterklaas, and was shaped by American writers and the artists in the 17th century, transforming him from a bishop into a jolly, red, fat-bellied, suitable figure known by flying reindeer and delivering gifts on Christmas Eve. For all you good boys and girls out there. So now we're going to tell that story. Okay. Everybody got their hats on? Everybody got their cups of joe? Then we're going to tell the most famous story in our lifetime, the night before Christmas. Here we go. 'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. The stockings were hung by the chimney with care, in hopes that St. Nicholas would soon be there. The children were nestled all snug in their beds, while visions of sugar plums danced in their heads. And Mama in her kerchief and I in my cap had just settled down for the long winter's nap. When out on the lawn there arose such a clatter, I sprang from my bed to see what was the matter. Away to the window I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave the luster of my day to objects below, when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. With a little old driver so lively and quick, I knew in a moment it must be Saint Nick. More rapid than eagles, his courses they came, and he whistled and shouted and called them by name. Now Dasher, now Dancer, now Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner, and to the top of the porch, to the top of the wall. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. As drive leaves that before the wild hurricane fly, when they met with the obstacle, mount to the sky. So up to the housetop, the courses they flew, with the sleigh full of toys. And then, in twinkling, I heard on the roof the prancing and pawing of each little hoof. As I drew in my hand and was turning around, down the chimney, old St. Nicholas came with a bound. He was dressed in fur from his head to his foot, and his clothes were all tarnished with ashes and soot. A bundle of toys he had flung on his back, and he looked like a peddler just opening his pack. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry. His cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. His droll little mouth was drawn up with a bow, and the beard of his chin was as white as the snow. The stump of a pipe he held tight in his teeth, and the smoke it encircled his head like a wreath. He had a broad face and a little round belly that shook when he laughed like a bull full of jelly. He was chubby and plump, a right jolly old elf, and I laughed when I saw him in spite of myself. A wink of his eye and a twist of his head soon gave me to know I had nothing to dread. He spoke not a word, but went straight to his work and filled all the stockings, then turned with a jerk. And laying his finger aside of his nose and giving a nod, up the chimney he rose. He sprang to his sleigh, to his team gave a whistle, and away they all flew like the down of a thistle. But I heard him exclaim, ere he drove out of sight, Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night. Now, how many of you out there heard that story? Many, many times, right? We all know that story very well, but we just don't understand. But who was Saint Nicholas, right? Who is this guy? How did he even become part of this existence? Well, I want to read you something. And I want to read to you now, who was Saint Nicholas? The Christmas season, you'll surely hear the name Saint Nicholas. In fact, he has a day all to himself. December 6th is Saint Nicholas Day, when children in many parts of the world will wake up to find small treats in their shoes and stockings left to them. They'll be told by Saint Nicholas. And in the U.S. on December 25th, of course, many children will wake up to find gifts left for them. They'll be told by Santa Claus, a derivative of Saint Nicholas. But who is this Saint Nicholas? Have you ever wondered who he was? And who he was even real? Adam English, Associate Professor of Theology and professing at Campbell University, has such wandering led him to travel to Bari, Italy, several years ago. There, he visited the tomb of St. Nicholas of Myra, whom many suspected to be the original St. Nicholas, as well as an archive library and maintained by Dominican friars. English spent hours in that library looking at historical documents, ultimately discovering a gold mine of information about St. Nicholas of Myra, literally a gold mine. We oftentimes get the impression that St. Nicholas didn't exist, or if he did, we didn't know much about him. He's sort of a shadowy, quasi-historical person, says the English professor. But looking at these documents, he instantly realized that there is this huge story that hasn't been told. Over the next 4 years, English poured through archival materials traveled widely to interview some scholars, and immersed himself in the life and times of St. Nicholas. The result was The Saint Who Would Be Santa Claus, and that was the book that he published by the Baylor University Press in November of 2012. In most books and resources, the story of Nicholas is introduced of the story of Santa Claus. English says, I want to reverse the flow of the ordinary pattern of how historians have told the story. I want to make St. Nicholas the real story. English shared with Campbell's 4 overarching things he learned about St. Nicholas during the research and writings of his book. And now the 4th century saint is still relevant today. Yes, there is really, truly a St. Nicholas. English says there are 2 things working against him when he started the painstaking labor that went into researching his book. One of the prominent scholars of the 20th century cast doubt on the very existence of St. Nicholas. And if he did exist, the scholar said he wasn't much of a saint, English said. And the 2 more popular and the mainstream accounts perpetuated the erroneous view of him. Specifically, the popular tale emerging of the stories of 2 men named Nicholas, who lived 200 years apart, into a narrative. English set out to find out the truth about St. Nicholas. With the help of travel and research stipends from Campbell, as well as sabbatical, English spent large portions of 4 years working on this project. Though St. Nicholas left no writings behind, English found clues, scraps of stories, and small anecdotes in the documents and biographies written thousands of years ago that suggested there was a St. Nicholas who lived in the 4th century of Myra, a city along the southern coast of what is now Turkey. There's no single piece of evidence, but a lot of good things cobbled together, English says. You're looking for needles in the haystack. One such needle to support the evidence of St. Nicholas, English says, was the name Nicholas didn't appear in the historical record before the 4th century. But after the 4th century, the name popped up in a slew of documents that referenced who were connected to the Myra era. Parents were now in the 300 ADs, naming their kids Nicholas, right in the area where St. Nicholas of Myra lived. English says that's a very indirect reference, but it clearly indicates that there was a Nicholas there and that people were picking up on his story and naming their kids after him. Based on the primary sources, English reports that St. Nicholas of Myra was born sometime after the year 260 AD and died around the year 335. St. Nicholas was a man of charity. St. Nicholas is often depicted in art carrying 3 bags of gold. That's because he was generous with a sizable amount of money he inherited when his parents died. One night, specifically, St. Nicholas filled 3 bags of gold and tossed each one into a home where 3 young, impoverished women lived. The young women on the brink of starvation used the gold as dowries to get married and escape the door of destitute. This act stands out as a unique instance of charity. English says because such acts of charity were not found in a historical record before St. Nicholas of Myra. And because most of the stories about saints at the time revolved around saints performing miraculous wonders or dying as martyrs. The act propelled St. Nicholas into the imagination of people, English says, and his story began to be passed from generation to generation. Over time, St. Nicholas' story and the name continued to gradually grow. So much that by the 1100s, nuns in France were making handcrafted toys, signing them from St. Nicholas and leaving them at homes where children lived. Think of how that legacy has played out today in many parts of our world. In Europe, St. Nicholas is celebrated each year on December the 6th, St. Nicholas Day. On the eve of St. Nicholas Day, the legend goes, St. Nicholas, who looks like a Catholic bishop, places small gifts such as fruit, cookies, and candies in the shoes or stockings of children, who are encouraged to share their treats with others. And in the United States, St. Nicholas' name is in the vernacular of popular culture. Christmas is a time of giving and receiving gifts, and the modernized Santa Claus draws from St. Nicholas. Santa, for example, loosely derives from saint. And popular renderings of Santa include him with a bag to carry goodies for children. St. Nicholas was not only known for his acts of charity, he was also a businessman, a patron of the city, a judge, a lawyer, who stood up for justice and who considered himself a public servant. Remember, during these times, religions were actually all of that. They were a judge, they were lawyers, they were jails. This is where churches came from, that religion side. They had law and order. There are numerous stories of him coming to the assistance of fellow citizens, including accounts of him saving innocent men from beheadings and intervening in the court of law on behalf of other people. Also, he once bartered with a ship from England to supply grains for the city of Myra, which prevented a famine. Another time, residents in Myra asked him to plead with legislators to lower the taxes. He traveled 300 miles to the capital, where he petitioned for lower taxes on behalf of the people. He's not a one-dimensional character, Nicholas writes. Consider that St. Nicholas is depicted in art, not only by carrying 3 bags of gold, but also by carrying a whip. Many medieval legends include references to whips that are used to enforce order and justice. St. Nicholas' whip represents how he was not only jolly, but he had a strong sense of justice, of weighing out deeds, both good and bad. On this day, English adds, there is evidence of this concern. Think of the naughty or nice list, our popularized version of Santa Claus that we keep today. St. Nicholas was a Christian pastor and bishop. At the time of his birth, Christianity was a persecuted minority religion. And by the time of his death, Christianity had become a legalized religion favored by the emperor. But St. Nicholas wasn't much of a scholar or a thinker. Still, he helped shape the Christian faith. And that was what was so exciting and interesting about him. There are many saints who were intellectuals and scholars who influenced Christian thought. But there is a saint who influenced faith by his actions, by his life, and just by who he was. His influence is his testimony of charity. St. Nicholas's influence directly affected English too. He couldn't spend 4 years researching the life of a man who was passionate about faith, justice, and charity without being transformed in some way. For starters, English can't look at Christmas the same way anymore. Until he started researching and writing about the life of St. Nicholas, English always viewed Christmas as a domestic family affair. Now he sees the holiday as a community activity that shouldn't involve just his own family, but also his neighbors, strangers, and people in need. And that it shouldn't just involve the exchanging of Christmas gifts, but also a time to carry out acts of charity and justice, like St. Nicholas did, and to extend hospitality to others. Christmas should be a time to step outside of our comfort zone, English says. That's the lesson of St. Nicholas. He challenges us to move beyond our fireplace and to reach out to the world. I'm going to read a little excerpt from the saint who would be Santa Claus. And for the day-to-day living, St. Nicholas is inspiring even today because he was an ordinary man doing things that were remarkably ordinary. We may not become a missionary in China or do some kind of remarkable feat for the Lord, but we can bag up groceries and leave them on doors for someone in need, he adds. That is the spirit of St. Nicholas. That is the spirit of Christmas. He is a Christian man who gives us examples of how to live a charitable, just, and righteous life. Wow. So now we see just how far we've come. We've seen just how far the cultures all reminisce about giving, donating, honoring all, honoring and cherishing everybody around us, even our strangers, our neighbors. What's it cost to make a batch of cookies and give each neighbor freshly baked cookies, fresh baked bread? You don't have to buy stuff. It's not about buying. Okay, you get to buy the materials, but buying materials can then lead into multiple gifts. So let's stop the commercial buying and start buying that love from our heart and sharing it with our neighbors, our friends. Stop the ordinary proverbial divisions and be like St. Nicholas. St. Nicholas is the festival back into Saturnalia, right? The festivals of happiness, of cheer, of goodwill, of humanity. Remember that, because we all evolve together. We all work together. We all have a beautiful living that we can do. And when you open up your heart and you start to support, or you start to donate, or you start to be that person, right? When you donate, just like our donations, here we are. Click on that QR code. I bet you find some happiness with a beautiful shirt honoring 2 different organizations that could desperately use your help. MBR is a 501c3. And of course, Die Tired is a veteran soldier who is just trying to live out his life purpose to soul purpose. So we're going to take another break here real quick. We're going to go into our Jingle Bell chant. I'm going to post up some where I read all this so that everybody knows if they want to go back and read it themselves, or they want to dig into more history, they have a starting point. So what are we waiting for? Let's get some jingle bells on, baby. Here we go.
The station where our veterans' voices are heard. MBR Talk.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hello, welcome back. Okay. So we have one more that I want to bring. We talked about it in our opening, which was Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa, which is now nearly 60 years old, traditions having been created in 1966 by Dr. Maulana Karenega. We're going to read about Kwanzaa. What is Kwanzaa? There's so many more out there. I believe every denomination, every religion, every spiritual genre has their own celebrations for the winter solstice, for the Northern Star, and where their denomination lives is more privy to what to expect during those holidays. I have a friend, it was in the military, her name was Sonia Ramsey, and she once told me, this was back in the, back in the 80s. So, but she once said to me she was like at Christmas when we were in Nellis Air Force Base, she looked at me and she goes, I want to travel to every country for Christmas to see how it derives in today's world. I thought that was like the coolest thing. And I looked at her, I said, oh my gosh. I'm like, you'd be like one of those snow globes, shake it up, where are you kind of thing. And that was so cool for me to I hope she did it. I hope she fulfilled that because that was such a wonderful thing. And she was a caring, giving person. And she truly was a beautiful craft of artisan bread. Like, we lived together and she made the most wonderful breads with honey at Christmas and, throughout the year. But at Christmas time, she always had honey breads. And they were I remember them being just so good. So, Sonia Ramsey, if you're out there, I would love to find out where you are and how to hook back up with you, because you were a joy. You were an absolute joy with my journey in the military. And I will always remember you at Christmas just because of your desires of what you want to fulfill. And that is such a blessing. So here we go. Let's get into Kwanzaa. What is Kwanzaa? Some people, they go through and I'm like, happy Kwanzaa. But do you really understand Kwanzaa? Let's break it down. What is Kwanzaa? Kwanzaa is a winter holiday that celebrates the African American heritage. It was founded in 1966 and lasts a week from December the 26th through January the 1st. Kwanzaa is a secular holiday that's based on the start of the harvest season in Africa, and millions of people in the United States now observe it. Thanks all to the beautiful woman who did all of this. The name Kwanzaa comes from the words Matuna ye Kwanzaa, which means first fruit in Swahili, referring to the first crops of the harvest. In Africa, the first fruits festivals are celebrated in accordance with the summer solstice, winter solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere. Although many people might consider Kwanzaa as an alternative to Christmas, Maulana Karenega, oh my goodness, Maulana, Maulana, Karenga, Karenga is the founder, believed that Kwanzaa was not created with the purpose of giving Black people their own religious holidays as an alternative to Christmas, which is why many African American families celebrate Kwanzaa in addition to Christmas. The holiday lasts 1 week. It starts on December the 26th and it ends on January the 1st. And it culminates on the 6th night when the communal feast called Karuma is celebrated. During the whole week, families observe Kwanzaa by gathering, sharing gifts, and lighting candles in honor of their ancestors and their hopes of the future. The holiday was not popular in the 1980s, and its traditions are slowly fading in recent years. However, hopefully, with this article and us sharing the world, we'll do justice to the key aspects that shape Kwanzaa. And encourage you to pass that knowledge on to your children. Kwanzaa was founded in 1966 by Malaguna Karenga, an activist and leader of the Black Power movement, 1 year after the historic rebellion of Black people that happened in Watts neighborhood of Los Angeles, California. The Watts Rebellion was a response to years of abuse and poverty. It lasted for 1 week and left 34 people dead and 1,000 injured. Right after the rebellion ended, Karenga founded the U.S. organization. Karenga's purpose was to provoke a Black cultural revolution and make people proud of Black history and of its achievements. The Cultural Revolution gives identity, gives purpose, and direction. That was a quote directly from Malanaga Karenga. The way to achieve this, in his mind, was by creating an African American holiday that celebrates their African heritage and cultural identity. In 1965, 1 year before the establishment of Kwanzaa, Karenga defined the principles and traditions of Kwanzaa using Pan-American symbols and practices. He based his vision of Kwanzaa on the harvest festivals in Africa, believing they're a great model for building cultural identity and community and family relationships. The Kwanzaa conditions, as Karenga defined the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, calling them Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles of African heritage. Together, the 7 principles makes up Kawada, meaning tradition. Each of the 7 days during Kwanzaa celebrations symbolically represents one of the 7 principles on which the holiday builds. These principles are, here we go. I'm going to tell you the English name, unity, because I'm going to probably butcher their tradition and I'm so sorry. It's called Umanga, unity. Kujichagulia means self-determination. That was 2. Ujima is collective work and responsibility. That was 3. Ujama, cooperative economics, was 4. Naya, which was purpose, was 5. Kumba, which is creativity, was 6. And Amani, which means faith. Kwanzaa is also distinguished by 7 symbols. They make, and they are inclusive. Here are the 7 symbols. Maka, or mat, a traditional straw or woven textile. It represents the base or the foundation on which the other symbols are placed. Kinara, which is a candle holder, which has 7 candles for the 7 days. Mishuma Saba is 7 candles. Mazao means crops, mostly corn. Mahindi is the corn of the crop. So the crop, the mazao, mahindi is corn. Kikombe cha umanga is unity, cup. And zawadi is gifts. Although the holiday struggled to achieve recognition in the early years, slowly spreading through the word of mouth, it became a mainstream holiday in the 1980s in the United States and then beyond. Throughout the years, the celebrations of Kwanzaa emphasized African heritage and family relationships, unity. Looking at the history of Kwanzaa, one question that lingers on is, how do people celebrate Kwanzaa today? Are the above described traditions still greatly preserved in modern celebrations? Or are African Americans embracing new ways to honor their heritage and cultural identity? Kwanzaa celebrates begin the day after Christmas, so that's December the 26th. And it lasts up to the 7 days going into the new year, which each day symbolizes something different. The celebrations usually begin by placing a traditional straw mat on the dining table, the dinner table, which represents the foundation on which the holiday is built. Upon that mat, people usually put fruits representing the harvest, ears of corn representing the children, and Kinara, the candle holder, in the middle with the 7 candles. The Kinara sits and consists of those 7 candles. The candle in the middle is typically a black candle, whereas the 3 candles to the left are red, and the remaining 3 candles on the right are green, representing the Afro-American flag. Families and communities gather each day to reflect on one of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa. It's customary to greet family members and friends with the phrase, Habari Ganani, which means, what is the news? The response varies, deepening in the principles of that day. Once all the family members are present around the table, the candle lighting ceremony begins. Usually an elder fills the unity cup with wine, juice for the kids. While they fill the cup, they spill some of the wine on the earth or earth-filled vessels as a symbolic way of remembering the deceased. During the ceremony, the elder also makes a speech in honor of the departed family members and everything they've lost on their decedents. On the first day, the black candle is lit to represent all the people of African descent. After this, each day a new candle, once green, once red, is being lit. An order is said to represent the struggles and future hopes of African American people. The 6th day of Kwanzaa, which falls on December 31st, Old Year's Eve, or New Year's Eve in the English version, is a day of music and dancing, and children usually receiving their gifts. Today, in modern celebrations, people don't celebrate Kwanzaa as intensely as they did back in the 1980s. Because of its recent creation, some people see Kwanzaa as a made-up holiday. Although we have many worldwide accepted holidays with only a short but significant history. Nowadays, families celebrate Kwanzaa in a familiar way because its guidelines are officially documented and easily available. However, it's not uncommon for families to adjust the celebration in order to fit under their busy schedule. The most essential principle that's preserved is that Kwanzaa is a time when families gather to celebrate their heritage and identity. Most also follow the main decorations of the dining table and honor the family's decedents. The main difference between tradition and traditional celebrations is that many African American families today celebrate Kwanzaa and Christmas together. This might be viewed as a problem in traditional celebrations, as one of the principles is Kuji Cha Chihalali, self-determination, which would be violated by mixing different holidays. Today, celebrations are more flexible and allow for the integration of different holiday traditions. Think about that. Just want to take a pause. Think about interracial marriages, right? Interethical marriages. Think about marrying somebody not from your tribe, outside your tribe, outside of your familiarity, that want to celebrate both. Can you see how that might have really been a problem? But now it's more flexible in today's. As we evolve, as we change, as we learn to balance and align, this is what I'm talking about. The flexibility. So now let's keep going. Aside from organizing a traditional Kwanzaa celebration and letting children participate, there are a few other things that can do to teach kids about Kwanzaa and its significance. Some of these activities include reading and discussing children's books on the topic, consolidating key information through interactive worksheets and workshops and other materials, watching movies, or planning a field trip to historical museums. One of the easiest ways of teaching kids this history and traditions of Kwanzaa is through specially designed children's books in a very simple way and with many illustrations. These books explain the core aspects of the holiday and make it easy for kids to grasp the basic ideas. So, interactive worksheets and interactive things in museums to show us those beautiful gifts that everywhere around the world is just phenomenal. And it allows each and every one of us to see the balance Don't cause division. Don't put a wedge in anything in this holiday. Look at all these different traditions we just read. There's many more you can find. You can find them in Asia. You can find them in Russia. There's so many different belief systems out there. I don't have time to spend all of it. I just did the highlights of what is common so that maybe everybody can understand how we became such a beautiful human experience here in the physical of our light inside of us, the I am conscious. And when that happens, more power, more gifts, more allowances, more awareness, more consciousness, more faith arrives. When you believe in that faith, when you believe in history, when you believe that all is plausible in all that is. That is a beautiful story of love, of charity, of giving, of honoring, of receiving, of just being in the moment of the I am consciousness, that light that goes in all of us, the awareness that God is always present, the omnipotent God that we all call God. Doesn't matter what you call it, by language, by denomination. It is the festival of humanity, the love and the giving that we all can become during this season. That's why I wanted to do this. That's why I wanted to put this out here. I wanted everybody to understand there's not one way that can balance our lives. There's multiple ways. There's so many beautiful, beautiful arenas that can cause us to open up our heart space, open up our faith portal, open up our mind to beautiful gifts of conscious light, of conscious love, and of conscious humanity with grace and humility. Be that person this Christmas. It's not about getting a gift. It's about giving. It's about opening up your heart and giving to let them know, I am here. I'm here to help you. I'm here to comfort you. I'm here to wrap my arms to give you a warm hug. Don't let anybody sit by themselves on this beautiful festive month and going into this beautiful new year. Open up that heart space. There's 12 petals to that heart space. Open them up, learn, push your prejudices aside. And as we like to say on a conscious level, let that shit go. Let it go. There's no room in our life for it right now. There's no time for that. It is only time to be happy and joyful and thankful. Why? The biggest thankful you are because you're still alive and you're still here with us today. And that means you are here on a purpose of God. We all have our purpose, whether it is our life purpose or our soul purpose. So honor that and be that beautiful person. Even with a holly jolly mistletoe hair, it's fun. Get your cup of joe, smile, look at the beautiful northern lights in the sky. Look at the winter solstice that we are encouraged into this energy. Look at that beautiful new moon. Who would have funked? Who would have funked that new moon? Did I even tell you about the new moon? OMG. Let me, I didn't even think about it. The new moon. So here, let me give you the new moon information, right? So that December 20th, that new moon came in Sagittarian. Woo! Those Saggy Wadgies. It ignites expansion and truth, and it will release limiting beliefs, trust the journey, and step boldly into your new horizons. Capricorn season is here. Fa la 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 la. It's the Capricorn. Do you know why so many babies are born this time of the year? Because Valentine's Day happened in February. You do that math. And it's cold outside. You do that math. Look how many beautiful Cappies are born in the month of December. Thank you, Janet. Because Janet used to hear me tell, when she lived in Miami, what I used to say. As soon as Thanksgiving came around, I'm going to tell you my story. I would say, hello, it's my birthday. Hey, hello, it's my birthday. My name is MJ. Hey, it's my birthday. I had a whole birthday month because being born at Christmas, and I know one of our vets, Kristen, she knows that. She's born on Christmas Day. She has it a little bit rougher than I do. I was born not so really close to Christmas, just not on the day. So, Christian, happy birthday to you, sweetheart. I know it's your birthday. Help me out, Joel. I know Joel's behind the scene. There she says it, Janet. It's my birthday. I can't even say it anymore because my husband, he's a Sagittarian. His birthday is on the 12th of December. So now I have to patiently go, let's hurry up. So I can say, hello, it's my birthday. And so in the military, I'm going to tell the story. And I was stationed in Nellis Air Force Base. That is in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I was so tired of having my birthday. Again, young punk, 18, 19 years old. Young punk kid. And I decided, you know what? I'm on the other side of the world. That Vegas, to my brain, was on the other side of the world. Nobody knows me. So I'm just going to tell everybody my birthday is July. Because I got there, I think, somewhere around March or April, I got to Vegas. And of course, you meet friends and talk about things. And so I was telling everybody my birthday was July 27th, exactly 6 months. Well, they had this huge celebration. I finally got the birthday I ever wanted. This huge celebration of this birthday. Woohoo! Yay, MJ, right? Oh, yeah. Yep. That was my birthday. I was so happy until I realized that my Sarge, Senior Master Sergeant, who was in charge of my RatCon, he announces everybody's birthday. Had I known this prior, maybe I would not have done it. However, it came and he announced the birthdays in December. And of course, in the RatCon, there's about 16 seats up and down these aisles. And I happened to be on, I can't remember the position, but it was a filing position, like base ops kind of position, which I was running to all the different radars. So at base ops, all of a sudden I'm in the middle of the court. And now I realized later, my beautiful Senior Master Sergeant, he knew what I had done. So he was so proud to say, and yes, here we are, beautiful MJ. We already celebrated you, even though your real birthday is December. You tried to fool us, but the joke's on you. You get no cupcakes. So I didn't get no cupcakes because I lied about my birthday. Because it was so far away. Today I have a different belief because I have people who I buried on my birthday. One was my dad. And he was truly an inspiration. He was Mr. Santa Claus himself. He loved it. He was told he wasn't going to live to Christmas. So we had an early Christmas in October of 2000. And that man held out without eating for over a month. It's unbelievable. He made it to Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve, 6 o'clock, I got the phone call that he had passed. I had to go back to Miami for my children because I left my children in Miami while I went to Pennsylvania to be with him. But I got so close to Christmas and my family goes, go with your kids. I no more than left than he expired. I flew back and I buried him on my birthday with other relatives and other members that I know. So now I tell them, thank you. Thank you for honoring me. Thank you for honoring my birthday. And thank you for honoring Christmas because I know every single one of them are always with me. So if you have a family member, instead of being depressed, instead of being sad on this day that they have crossed or they're ill, remember they're doing it to honor, to be with you in memory. As sometimes days go by, that memory, if they pass, slips us. Happens. But there's no slipping on Christmas. There's no slipping on my birthday. I know who you are. I know what you did for me, and I'm honoring every day that you did that. So that is why I love Christmas. I love traditions. I love denominations, and I love for balance across the world and the galaxies and universe, if that's the case too, for anybody who believes in those. And that is my story. So may you have the most jingle, jolly, festive, safe, healthy holiday season of whatever denomination it is that you follow. And may you blend beautiful with other denominations because we are all one. I am MJ, and you are listening to Military Broadcast Radio, where the veterans always have a voice. Folks, it has been beautiful. I will visit with you right after Christmas and my birthday next week, Monday, figure out how all you all came out. In fact, it'll be right there on Old Year's into New Year's. We might have some storytelling then too. Who knows? No, we're not. We're going to talk about addictions because that's normally what happens at Christmas with people who have addictions. So we're going to talk that out to them. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Janet. Merry Christmas. Thank you, Rick. Thank you all. May the angels carry you with peace, love, joy, happiness, and abundance of what it is that you desire most. We'll see you after Christmas, folks. Be happy, be jolly, and most of all, love your family, your neighbors, and those you don't even know. Be kind, be balanced, and be aware that they might be going through trouble as well. Mwah! Merry Christmas, happy Kwanzaa, happy Hanukkah, happy St. Nicholas Day to all of you and all of my beautiful Saturnalia family. Be well.
Life is like a duck. Tough times don't last, but tough people do. Here at Military Broadcast Radio, we're teaming up with our friends at Die Tired, the veteran-friendly music band spreading strength, resilience, and mental health awareness one shirt at a time.
And check this out. Their brand new shirts feature broadcast beaker right on the breast pocket. A reminder that you can weather the storm, and you're never alone.
Shirts are only $25, and proceeds support giving veterans a voice. MBR's mission to teach veterans how to podcast and videocast. Because when our vets are talking, they're not overthinking. They're not second-guessing. Together, we stop the 22 stigma. Grab your shirt today at mbradio.us and hit the shop. Or go directly to toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband. That's toramerch.printavo.com/merch/dietiredband.
Suit up, stand strong.
Remember, we're unduckable together.
You're built tougher than the storm.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.